DJonai. Your game was stinking in the mud, and the Dallas Wings wanted nothing to do with you going forward.
Back to her old tricks, WNBA waiting for someone to lose an eye before they do something.
Claw to the eye, hit to the head, yank pull. And by the way, that's her 3 of her last 5 games. Those 3 have happened in her last 5 games. She also undercut Skylar Diggins in those last 5 games.
Oh, DJonai Carrington, you are the dirtiest dirtbag of them all. Dirty play, DJonai Carrington. DJonai, dirty play, Carrington. We can even turn it into a song.
Some players build their reputation on skill, others on grit. And then there's DiJonai Carrington, a name that's become shorthand for trouble. Her presence on the court has gotten so volatile that referees have reportedly asked for extra security when she's involved in a game. The Dallas Wings, after months of holding their breath and defending the indefensible, have finally cut her loose. We're talking about the same player who left Caitlin Clark with a black eye during the playoffs, who managed to injure her own teammate Paige Bueckers while targeting Jessica Shepard, and who once escalated a Chicago Sky matchup to the point where game officials literally called in backup. 4 flagrant fouls in a single season, and that's just what made the stat sheet. This wasn't a tough call for Dallas. It was a necessary escape.
DJonai Carrington couldn't keep her hands clean either. With staying out of headlines on the internet, she was always in headlines, punching players in the eye. And then we have to remember, she nearly injured Paige. Like, everybody forgot about that. Y'all remember when she nearly injured Paige, nearly took her whole knee out? Like, we got to remember all of those things transpired during this basketball season, man. For her to tell you, they made it their business to get rid of her.
To understand how we got here, you need to see the difference between playing hard and playing reckless. In basketball, physicality can win championships, but intent can destroy a career. And Carrington's track record has been less about strategic stops and more about high-risk collisions. The moment that burned her into the national conversation happened in the 2024 playoffs. A lightning-quick high-contact play on Caitlin Clark that shifted the game and ignited a firestorm across sports media. From that point forward, she wasn't just a physical defender, she was the league's most divisive figure, with fans split between calling her fearless and flat-out dangerous.
Back to her old tricks, WNBA waiting for someone to lose an eye before they do something.
It was the Connecticut Sun versus the Indiana Fever, the kind of playoff matchup where every possession is magnified. Clark lined up for a clean look, her signature form freezing the crowd for a heartbeat. Carrington closed in from the side, but instead of contesting the shot, her arm swept upward in a motion that connected directly with Clark's face. The fingers caught her eye. Not her shooting hand, not the ball, her eye. The force snapped Clark's head back, and in that split second, the energy in the arena turned from excitement to shock. By the time the Fever's rookie star lowered her hand, a darkening bruise was already forming, a mark that would become the most replayed, debated, and dissected image of the entire postseason.
It's funny, after, of course, what we saw last year, and of course, this was the eye gouge from hell, where DJonai Carrington tried to take her fingernails and scoop them out of Caitlin Clark's skull.
This is the same thing she did to Caitlin Clark. Her behavior, time after time again, is the same. This isn't something that happens in basketball. This isn't a basketball play.
So if you were on the court next to her, would you still play? Share your thoughts below. The real twist came after that playoff dust-up. While Caitlin Clark's eye was swelling and the Fever's medical staff hovered, Carrington didn't even break stride. She didn't look back, didn't offer a nod of acknowledgement, and certainly didn't say sorry. Instead, she carried herself like the moment was nothing more than another line in the box score, as if the uproar from fans was a soundtrack she'd heard before. For anyone still calling it just a hard play, this was the moment it became clear. Her aggression wasn't random, it was a choice, and one she seemed ready to make again.
And kind of swatted at Caitlin. Did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
Then came June 4th in Seattle, the game that made even her defenders fall silent. Skylar Diggins was flying toward the rim, the crowd building in anticipation of a highlight. Carrington closed the gap in a heartbeat, but instead of tracking the ball, her arm rose high and clipped Diggins right across the head. It wasn't subtle. The whistle blew before Skylar even hit the floor. Flagrant 1. And the replay? Brutal. You didn't see hands angling for the ball, you saw a headshot in slow motion. For a league already on edge about player safety, it was another log tossed onto a growing fire.
Let's watch it, and this will give us a couple of different angles.
Records of games. There's your tip. Diggins, who's still fast, gets down the floor, buries it, draws the foul, but is shaken up.
From that point, the conversation shifted from accidental to this is who she is. The incidents weren't spread years apart. They were stacking up week by week. It wasn't just the big names like Clark and Diggins who were noticing. Coaches, referees, and even rival players started murmuring the same thing. She doesn't just play physically, she plays to rattle, to intimidate, to leave a mark. Fans weren't shy either. One viral post read, "That's not defense, that's demolition." And every clip that hit social media made it harder to see Carrington as misunderstood, and easier to see her as a ticking time bomb in a jersey.
And there's Skylar on the floor. At first glance, this might not look too bad. But when we get some different angles of it, you just see how this is clearly, definitely, 100% not a basketball play. Let's take a look. We got DJonai.
Signals for the officials that this will likely get upgraded.
DJonai, did you forget what sport you're playing? You know this is basketball, right?
By midsummer, her highlight reel looked more like a cautionary video for rookie training camps. Every major foul had the same pattern. Zeroed in on marquee players, made contact high, and left the opponent checking for blood or bruises. It didn't matter if you were a decorated veteran or a fresh-faced phenom. If you had momentum, she'd meet you with something that risked your health. The black eye on Caitlin Clark became the mental before and after marker. The incident fans referenced when they saw her next reckless collision. It wasn't, "Did she mean to?" anymore. It was, "Who's next?"
Has been on a crime spree. That's right, folks. She has been on a crime spree, robbing the WNBA blind, masquerading as a professional basketball player, when in reality, she is just a reckless athlete that understands the concept of basketball.
And then came the incident that proved this wasn't just a danger to the other team. May 21st against Minnesota was supposed to be a grinded-out defensive battle. Instead, it turned into a crash course on how one player's reckless obsession can turn into friendly fire. Carrington launched into another high-contact contest, eyes on Jessica Shepard's face. But in the chaos, her own teammate Paige Bueckers got caught in the blast radius. In seconds, the Wings huddle went from competing to checking on each other's injuries. It's one thing to rough up an opponent, it's another to take down your own roster in the process.
I think we'll be able to see how hard the foul is right here. That's a hard foul, and she does get her in the face.
The replay told a story Dallas couldn't spin. Carrington's arm cut across Shepard's face while her momentum slammed into Bueckers from the side. Two players, one from each team, left shaken in the space of a single reckless lunge. For Paige, it wasn't just an unlucky hit. It was a reminder that sharing the court with Carrington came with a built-in risk. And when teammates start looking over their shoulder during practice, not just games, it stops being about toughness and starts being about survival. That night, even the Wings bench looked like they were quietly wondering how much longer they could carry the chaos.
Look at that. Look at the steal on that, folks. Look at where there's no way. You'll never in a million quadrillion years convince me that's not some intentional eye gouge situation going on in the. Look at that. Look at the fingers are actually. Let me make sure. Let me bring, because I can't. There. Let me make sure. The fingers are actually cupped around like that.
Look, her hand's on her back. Her hand is on her back. She's intentionally pushing her, and now she's about to hit her. This was intentional. Her hand's on her back.
The foul is right here. That's a hard foul.
Paige was already right there.
And she does get her in the face when she's coming down.
That was a purpose shot.
Dallas thought the Minnesota incident would blow over in a few news cycles. It didn't. Instead, it became Exhibit A in the growing case that Carrington was a hazard to everyone within arm's reach. This wasn't gritty defense anymore. It was like having a live wire in the middle of your offense. Even practices weren't safe. Teammates started flinching when she closed out too hard. That's when whispers from around the league shifted from "she's a problem" to "she's a liability." And the final piece of proof: it wasn't an injury this time. It was a security call.
Sorry, you don't get to plow through somebody's back, almost injure a teammate, and then say, yeah. And then, like, claim that you've done nothing. You've done nothing. Like, and people are like, stand on business. She's like trying to laugh at it. I'm like, no, you're just Pat Bev. You're not Draymond, you're Pat Bev. Like, realistically, you're Pat Bev. That's it. And like, look, and I mean this when I say this, it was a dangerous play only for Paige.
May 30th, 2025, Chicago Sky vs. Dallas Wings. The scoreboard read 97-92, but nobody was talking about the final score. All eyes were on an exchange between Carrington and veteran referee Roy Golbian after the buzzer. It started like a normal post-game gripe, but the temperature spiked so fast that Golbian, a man trained to handle angry coaches, irate players, and playoff tension, waved in arena security. Think about that. A WNBA ref deciding in real time that backup was needed, not for a fight between players, but for one conversation with one player. That single motion, the hand wave to security, told the whole league that this was different.
Was it a flagrant 1? Yes. Could it have been called a flagrant 2? Yes. Was it more dangerous to Paige Bueckers than anyone else? Because Paige Bueckers was the one who was the person with the break Jessica Shepard's fall. Could she have blown out her teammate's knee? Yeah. Like, that is what, like, realistically, that is what the conversation should be about. Because she wanted the Kiki Iriafen viral meme. Because as soon as she did it, look at what she does as soon as she did it. As soon as she did, she walks toward Jessica Shepard and just tries to do the Kiki Iriafen face.
The footage spread before the teams even left the locker room. Fans froze the moment Golbian glanced over his shoulder, signaled for help, and stepped back. Players from both benches just stood there, unsure whether to intervene or stay out of the blast zone. And when Carrington later went online claiming it was just a civil conversation, it only made things worse, because it showed she didn't grasp how others were reading her behavior. When referees, teammates, and opponents all start building escape routes around you, the conversation shifts from "is she competitive?" to "is she safe to have on the floor at all?" By then, Dallas wasn't weighing if they'd move her. They were weighing how fast.
WNBA player who tried to rip Caitlin Clark's eye out. Zach Dean over at Outkick, hilarious. They tried to rip Caitlin Clark's eye out, has security called on her by ref. That's right. The referee had to call security on DJonai Carrington. I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, hell, who wants to catch a stray eye gouge, a scoopage of the eyeball out, watching your eyeball roll across the floor because somebody's mad at one of your calls?
What happened in Chicago wasn't just the last straw, it was the smoking gun. 4 flagrant fouls in a single season is enough to raise eyebrows. But 4 fouls plus a moment where a referee literally calls for protection. That's a crisis waiting to happen. It was no longer a question of officiating bias or bad luck. The league office now had a string of incidents, each with video, witnesses, and mounting public outrage. Dallas knew that if they didn't act, the next headline wouldn't be about a security call. It would be about an injury that never should have happened. And with every replay circulating on social media, the PR fire was growing hotter by the hour.
This is the most on-brand thing I've ever... All of it. A WNBA referee needing protection from DJonai Carrington, and then Cheryl Swoop somehow finding a way to defend said repugnant behavior. Check this out right here. Yeah, you see this guy right here? Right in this gentle area. Let me just, you see this guy? The ref asked this dude to step out here.
Inside the Dallas front office, the tone shifted. What had once been, "she plays with an edge," became, "we can't protect her anymore." Every GM knows that a player's reputation travels fast, and Carrington's had crossed the point of no return. Free agents didn't want to join a roster where they had to worry about taking elbows from their own teammate. Veterans were avoiding her in practice. Even rookies, the ones usually too scared to speak up, were voicing concerns. It's one thing to have opponents game plan against your star. It's another when your own locker room starts game planning around keeping her out of scrimmage matchups.
DJonai Carrington, we are not even 10 games into the season. There are more times than not of DJonai playing dirty, get a flagrant foul. Oh my goodness, DJonai, what's wrong with you, man? Is this what your coaches condone? Is this what your coaches, like, Christy 2.0, whatever we want to call this coach? I mean, are we condoning this?
The fan base had seen enough. They'd watched her poke Caitlin Clark, smack Skylar Diggins in the head, and leave Paige Bueckers hobbling from a play that wasn't even aimed at her. Now they were watching security walk toward a player in the middle of a WNBA arena, something nobody could remember happening before. Dallas could no longer spin this as competitive fire. This was an organization staring down the reality that their biggest headline maker was also their biggest liability. When the league's tolerance runs out, it doesn't fade quietly. It snaps, and when it snapped for Carrington, Dallas had only one option left: move her before the storm took the whole team down with her.
Jay, breaking Dallas Wings, DJonai Carrington has been traded to the Minnesota Lynx in exchange for Diamond Miller, Carly Samuelson, and Minnesota 2027 second-round pick. The team sources has confirmed that.
The call came fast, almost too fast. One day Carrington was in a Wings jersey. The next, her locker was cleared and her nameplate gone. Dallas didn't hold a press conference, didn't issue a tearful farewell post. They just cut the cord and shipped her north to Minnesota in exchange for Diamond Miller, Carly Sampson, and a 2027 second-round pick. It wasn't just a roster move. It was a statement to the entire league. We value safety and culture over raw chaos. For Dallas, this was more than a trade. It was an exorcism.
Now that's crazy, because last time we seen DJonai Carrington interacting with Minnesota players, y'all remember this on Stud Buds, right? Listen.
Just watch your step. Academy, go. I got this. Okay, well now we're even because your dog's shit and piss in our room.
Oh, wow.
We're even. Hey, all right, one more thing. Hey, I love how direct you are. That's Courtney. It's time to go. Come on, bitch.
Just watch your step.
Academy,
So we all remember that. That was quite funny.
Minnesota's decision? Now that's where the story flips. Here's a team sitting at the top of the standings, primed for a championship run, and they willingly bring the NBA's most combustible player into their locker room. They weren't desperate for scoring. They weren't short on grit. They were, however, short one major forward after Nafisa Collier's ankle injury, and that gap pushed them into a high-risk, high-reward gamble. To the Lynx, Carrington wasn't a cautionary tale. She was a weapon. If they could channel her fury into controlled aggression, they'd have the league's most intimidating defensive presence overnight. But there's a thin line between intimidation and implosion.
DJonai, they not really rocking with you. They're trying to get rid of you. They're giving no reassurance that they want you around at all. You can't get in the game in the fourth quarters. You're buried in the bench. You've been awful this season. It looks like you've forgotten how to play basketball completely. And what do you know? Good morning. DJonai Carrington has been traded. DJonai Carrington has been traded to the Minnesota Lynx. Boy, boy, boy.
The irony is almost poetic. Minnesota, a team built on discipline and composure, now holds the most notorious wild card in women's basketball. They're betting that the player who's been ejected more than some players have been injured can suddenly flip a switch and become the missing piece in a title run. Dallas, meanwhile, walks away lighter. No more nightly worry about PR disasters or sideline explosions. The WNBA, for all its talk about protecting players, now watches closely to see if Minnesota's gamble pays off or blows up in their face. Because Carrington's trade isn't just about a player changing teams. It's about the league confronting its own tolerance for danger. And make no mistake, The first time she steps onto the court in Lynx Blue, every camera in the arena will be ready, just in case history repeats itself.